I like doing the business development, but I really didn't like billing hours and I really didn't like management, and so I fired myself about 2 years ago from every role in the firm other than business development and ownership.
Most firms survive, the best ones scale. Welcome to the Managing Partners Podcast, where law firm leaders learn to think bigger. I'm Kevin Daisy. Let's jump in. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. Thankful to have you here, listening in, tuning in to the show, and just excited to have fresh faces and new guests on the show. Actually, today, Alex has been on the show before, recorded years ago with my business partner. I have no clue what they talked about. So today's a fresh episode, but Alex has quite the unique background, helps attorneys in some pretty cool ways, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But just like me, he loves business. He's into lots of things, and he's in the tropical destination of Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right.
Yep. So Alex Gertzberg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. We are as I mentioned, we're the vacation capital of Lake Erie, Yeah.
So yeah, when you're freezing in Lake Erie, a little north, you want to head to Cleveland.
If you like losing football teams who just try really, really hard every year and have raving fans that are disappointed every single November, Cleveland is your place.
Hey, I'm a Commanders fan, so
okay.
I'm used to that.
Yeah. Now Cleveland's awesome. I joke, but I love it. I've been here my whole life. And, from like November to February, not a lot of sunlight. It's a whole lot of overcast, which is why we come down to Florida. But the rest of the year, man, it is a cool town, and it's growing, and it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I've actually never been to Cleveland. I'm actually in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I call us the Miami of the North. But yeah, I still head to Florida. I'll be in Florida next week, actually, after recording this. Yeah. So definitely get down there a few times a year.
So I was in the Army for 10 years, and I spent 3 months at Fort Eustis, Virginia, in Virginia Beach.
Not too far.
And it was like the 3 most fun months, I think, of my entire life. What a great part of the country you live in, man. It's
definitely different. A lot of history.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, let's get to you. This is all about you and the folks listening, of course. You own a law firm. You also own Exit Path Strategies. Exit Path Partners. We'll get into what that is and what you help attorneys do. But yeah, give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, I'll try to give you the abbreviated version. I wasn't born in this country. You know what? A lot of this, I wonder if in the prior episode, which will be really interesting. I'm going to go back and listen to the other episode because so much has changed and it really informs Exit Path a lot. But basically, came over as an immigrant. I'm 4 years old. Came over from this country called Moldova, which is next to Russia and the Ukraine and Romania. And Dad was an entrepreneur. The immigrant life was interesting. Lots of challenges and insecurities, but just really learned how to hustle and try a lot of new and different things. And went to law school because I wanted to be Arnie Becker in LA Law. And because I thought he just dated beautiful women and drove a Ferrari and captivated juries. And I thought I definitely want that. ROTC scholarship, Army, Iraq, law, started a firm. I worked for a couple of large firms doing business litigation in Cleveland, then served as in-house general counsel for a large telecom company until 2012, started my own firm in 2012. merged it with another firm just before COVID in 2020, maybe 21, I guess it was. So maybe after COVID. It seems like it was all happening at the same time. But merged my firm, the entire process from, hey, we should merge to, LOI, diligence, closing, finding a building to move into, financing it, buying it, moving into it. That entire process took 90 days. And today, Exit Path Partners, which I'll talk about in a second, has this process called the 90-day exit, where we basically try to replicate for lawyers who don't want to be in their firms anymore the same thing. And I'm kind of one of those lawyers, which is why I'm really interested. I'm going to go back and hear my episode, because I think that when we recorded it the first time, I was a happy managing partner at Gertzberg Licata, practicing law, making rain, and running the firm. And what I quickly realized within the last couple of years is I actually only like one of those things, and that's the rainmaking part. I guess the fourth hat would be owning the firm, right? I like owning the firm. I like doing the business development, but I really didn't like billing hours. And I really didn't like management, and so I fired myself about 2 years ago from every role in the firm other than business development and ownership. And I've just never been happier. And I realized, so my working hypothesis, Kevin, was, well, I wonder how many people are just like me out there who also, evolved from being a working managing partner to someone who wants a lot more freedom in their lives. And how many of those are retiring? How many of them want to exit for that reason? And my working hypothesis was that there are millions of lawyers that check those boxes.
Yeah, and I believe it.
Yeah, right? I mean,
and you can't like all those areas of business. There's areas that you're going to gravitate towards, that you're passionate about, that you're good at. And most of it you're not going to like. So it might be one area of the business that you actually like doing. Yeah, we're trying to do them all, right?
Well, and there's a lot of managing partners that I'm sure are listening right now that actually do really just want to write wills and trusts, or just want to litigate, or just want to do divorces. And they actually don't want the management part or even the rainmaking part. They're craftsmen, and that's fine. It's totally cool, right? I think about, something that I learned from Dan Sullivan. So he's my business coach and has been for 10
Dan's
years
awesome.
now. Yeah. If you ask an entrepreneur why they are an entrepreneur, whatever they say, fundamentally, it comes down to, I want freedom. I don't like working for other people. I don't want someone telling me how to spend my time, who to spend it with, how much money I can make, right? And that gets to, that's why you started your law firm. That's why you grew your law firm. Well, now what? Those freedoms are still there to inform how you exit your law firm, or if you exit, and what that exit looks like. It could be an exit like mine, where you still keep owning your firm, keep doing biz dev, but I've exited from every other role in my firm. Or it could be a true exit, right? So that you can go off and do other things, take the chips off the table, start another company. So that's how Exit Path Partners was born. And so we have two kinds of clients. They're all managing partners, though. They're the ones who want to exit, and they're the ones who want to grow.
So I love that, because I think when people think of exit, they think of only selling and completely leaving the firm and no longer practicing law. But I like kind of, the way you put it is, I have a business partner, right? Me and him have two, I'm good at biz dev and communications and sales. He's good at administration and tasking and operations. I suck at those things and hate it. So, and then you got to fill in the holes and bring in talent and hire great people to offset the others. If you have enough partners, maybe you find partners that might want to take those responsibilities. But I like the fact that you're like, I exited, but I'm still here and I'm still an owner. You just got yourself out of the way.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
awesome.
there's this formulation. I forget. I think the first place I learned about this was in this book that I read like 20 years ago called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Great book. And he has this concept of an activity inventory, which is also kind of a Dan Sullivan thing, but different, right? It's you make a list of all the things that you do in a day and you put 3 columns next to it. And the first column evaluates, do I love it? The second evaluates, am I great at it? And the third evaluates the extent to which it makes you money, right? And you put a scale of 1 to 4 next to each box. And your goal as an entrepreneur is to fill your day just with things that you love to do, you're great at, and make you a lot of money. And it's so intuitive and elegant. And the 2 takeaways for me, once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, Kevin, you know? and I was like, okay, wait a second. So if I love it and I'm great at it, but it doesn't make me money, that's called a hobby. I should do that on the weekends, or I should do that when I'm not at the office, right?
On your free time. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm great at it and it makes me money, but I don't love it, then why am I doing things I don't love? I'm going to burn out. I'm going to hate my life. And then if I love it and it makes me money, but I'm not great at it, somebody else should be doing that thing who is great at it, because they're going to do it better. And I can go do things that I'm great at. So the client wins, they're going to pay us all more money. And man, once I saw it, I was like, of course. And then you start, each quarter, 1 quarter at a time, slicing off anything, right? Either delegating, automating, or eliminating anything that doesn't check all 3 boxes,
Yeah, that's an awesome exercise. I've seen it done in a few different ways too. But I tell people this too. It's a great exercise, but over time, things sneak back in.
Yes.
You're like, wait, well, Kevin, and I'll have my partner or someone else or someone on my sales team. Sometimes they'll call you out and be like, hey, why are you doing that? And like, I don't know, just you pick shit back up. It's
right. Right.
So I think it's almost like an audit maybe that you need to do, or as you get a new responsibility, you audit that before you add it to your plate and say, hey, does this align with what I should be doing? So I think it's a great exercise. And what was the name of the book again?
The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. He wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Okay, excellent.
It's a great book. He went around the world and he interviewed all the world's like self-made billionaires and CEO, like top CEOs and presidents and whatever, political leaders, and just found the things that they all had in common. And each of those things is a chapter in this book. Pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So great principle. I've heard of another version of that, which I like your version that you just shared better. The one I had that I wrote down before, I was on a plane one time traveling. It was like a audio book, but it was more like make a list of the things you do, right, for like a whole week. And then, you kind of categorize it by $10 an hour of work, $100 an hour of work, $1,000 an hour of work, and $10,000 an hour of work. And the categories are like, $10,000 an hour of work would be like, I'm on stage at a conference.
Yeah.
Like you can't beat that, right? And you can't really put money to it. But, and then obviously, what $10, $100 hour work, stuff like that. So this was more like, try to figure out a way to get $10,000 an hour work, an hour per day. Or, $1,000 work. Try to, you're going to have some other stuff in there, but just try to get rid of all the $10 an hour work and most of the $100 an hour work and try to fill your day with. But I like yours because it's like, you got to love it. You're great at it and it makes you money. So that just adds another level to it.
Yeah. And, somebody, I was having this conversation with someone the other day and they added a 4th dimension to it. And they said, evaluate the extent to which this task aligns with your purpose, right? And that was pretty mind-blowing. So,
I like that.
So at some point you can love it, be great at it, and it makes you money, but it can also score high on the impact you want to leave in the world, if that's important to you, right? And it's definitely not the kind of thing that we think about in our 30s and 40s, but we start to think about it in our 50s and 60s.
For
right?
sure.
Which also, by the way, really dovetails into the exit path, value proposition, which is, there is this freedom. Dan Sullivan calls it freedom of time, money, relationships, and purpose. Right. And so our goal is to deliver those freedoms through these transformative combinations with other firms. And so if you are able to exit your firm so that you can, go build that house for Habitat for Humanity, or go build that school. I've got a client that is building schools in Brazil. That is that kind of alignment, and you're able to live a much more meaningful life because of it.
Yeah. If your firm runs you and
Yeah.
you can't come up for air to even figure out what you're going to do with your own schedule or family time, then how are you going to make a bigger impact or even focus on those things? And I think a lot of law firm owners are, can get stuck in that,
right.
That whirlwind, that, hamster wheel, if you will.
Yes.
Versus can they exit, thinking about exiting. It's funny. I'm getting an HVAC system installed in a rental property. And the owner of the HVAC company was the one that came out, and I talked to him, and he's a little bit older, and he's like, yeah, I'm thinking about, I want to retire and not do this forever, but I just don't know what I would do and what it'd be worth. And I was like, well, do you have anyone that runs your business for you, or is it just you? It's like, well, I got some people, but I still handle everything for the most part. It's like, well, the first thing you got to do is figure out is how you can replicate what you do and not be the only one that's there to run the business, because you can't sell it. So
yeah,
better start figuring that stuff out. But a lot of people go through business just not figuring that stuff out, and then they end up with no options. So
yeah, it all comes back to that freedom. Design the life you want for yourself and for your family. It can be done. I mean, I'm proof of it, and it takes intentionality. I mean, this is what the other thing I'll say, that may benefit your listeners or viewers. And this is not a plug by any means, but work with someone. Call me and I will give you 3 other consultants who can help you get to where you want to go. But you have blind spots. You've never bought or sold a law firm in most cases. You've never, gone through even if you did what I did, there's still trauma involved, right? You're still going through all of the psychological, permutations of, can I just walk away from clients and just say, hey, from now on, everything you relied on me for, these guys are going to do that work for you. I just billed my last hour. Okay. That's kind of traumatizing. You have to be able to let go. And I was not, this kept me up at night. The reason that we're managing partners of our own firms is usually because we do it better than everyone else in our firm. Not always, right? And you don't want that. You hope that you're the dumbest person in the room, right? But
for sure,
in most cases, your viewers and listeners are the top dog, and those clients want to work with the top dog. And so all of which is to say, we have blind spots, we have biases, we have these traumas that we go through. We are control freaks. We have egos. We have insecurity. We are human beings, and working with someone who can hold your hand as you walk down this journey of transformation is really important. And then if you have a desire and an interest in a sale, right, where you're selling your firm or where you're buying another firm, man, I know a lot of firms that do it as a DIY project, and I just, and I'm biased because, this is what we do. But here's what I know. I know that they it is very hard to be objective about valuations, about what a firm is worth when you're reading the label from inside the jar. You also don't have the ability to be discreet and confidential in that first step. Right. So your first conversation with a counterparty is, hey, I want to buy you, or, hey, would you like to buy me? And that limits the number of folks that you would be willing to talk to, as opposed to having an intermediary there saying, hey, I have a client, this much in revenue, this is their practice area, offices around the country, whatever. They would like to have a conversation with you about a transaction. Okay. So an intermediary gets you that, and then it gets you reach and strategy and skill that the owner just doesn't have that depth. And even if their firm is an M&A firm, right? So now you know how to buy and sell companies. Have you ever done it with a law firm? And can you truly be objective? And then there's the reach part. I mean, your intermediary has the whole country between the law firms that they personally know and that they've dealt with and that their team has dealt with, and then the ones that their colleagues out there in the intermediary world have dealt with. It's much more expansive. So again, this is not a plug. I'm telling you, if you want to do a deal or if you want to exit, have a professional help you with valuation and structure and strategy and reach and confidentiality. And you'll just get much farther.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something you want to try to DIY. I mean, just talking to someone and understanding like the pitfalls and the things to think about, look out for, plan for. Yeah. I mean, I know most folks, when you're talking about exiting, like sell, it's usually it could be 3 to 5 years based, depending on where you're at. Maybe you've done everything perfectly and you look the part and play the part, but usually it takes some time to get things right to where you're actually able to exit.
Yeah, that's
I saw a video that you did. I think it was on your LinkedIn recently, but it was also about just, depending on what kind of exit it is. Say if you're going to stay in the firm and you're buying another firm and merging them in, you had mentioned culture as being a major piece. Or say if you're selling the firm, but you're still going to have some equity or keep ownership in it. The lawyers that like if the lawyers aren't top notch, right? The clients might not stay with them when that event happens, right? So speak a little bit maybe into that, because obviously impacting culture is not something you can do just quickly.
Yeah. So
takes some time.
Yeah. The elements are trust, capability, and emotion. How do people in that firm carry themselves? Is this a 2,000 billable hour firm while mine is a 1,500 billable hour firm? My employees are going to be effing miserable over there, right? Investigating and assessing and evaluating whether it is a good fit is the biggest diligence piece, right? And that starts early and it doesn't stop until you close. So, when I was involved in managing my firm and we would interview somebody, we made sure we went out to dinner with them. We tried to go out to dinner with their spouse. And that didn't always happen, but man, you do 2 interviews in a conference room over Zoom. It is orders of magnitude different quality of conversation and trust building than when you go out and hang out at the restaurant or have a drink together, or do some other activity. And now imagine that instead of interviewing for one person for a job, you're interviewing the firm that is going to take over all of your clients, the ones who you have built 40-year relationships with. they better be really trustworthy. That those buyers, you need to make sure that you talk to the lawyers who will be inheriting your clients, the ones who will be talking to them face to face. Maybe go out to dinner with those lawyers. And part of it is, I would say a lot of it, I really like this formulation. You know, it has to be a hell yes at the head, heart, and gut level, right? Intellectually, emotionally, instinctively. So intellectually is, how do they look on paper? What's the experience? What's their competence? What's their capability? Can they handle this work? Emotionally is, how are they making me feel? That's how they're going to make my clients feel and my employees feel. And then instinctive, man, is the most nebulous thing to define, but it's how the Supreme Court.
The most important, I think.
it could be, yeah, but it's how the Supreme Court defines porn. You know it when you see it, right? Or used to. I don't know if they still. But like, how is it like? What does it do to your spiritual antenna, right? Just like, I don't really know how I feel here, or what it's doing intellectually, but man, something is just not sitting well here.
Yep. We are huge here at Hell Yes. We do that for any hire here, and you'll see people like in my team, like, it's a hell yes for me. It's a hell yes for me. So it's that gut feeling, if you will, is super important, I think. Because every time we've been like, something was a little off. Yeah. And we've hired that person, something was wrong, or it became wrong pretty quickly. It can cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it has formulations in so many different, they say, like, hire slow, fire fast, right? Firing fast is really about gut instinct. To your point, what you just said, Kevin, right? Usually if there's a trust issue early on, it's just going to get bigger and worse, right?
Yeah. Obviously sometimes people are like, well, I have no choice. I need to bring on another associate, or I need to bring on a person. You just don't want to be in that spot. You want to have a culture that's so good, you're not making those shortcut decisions. You're only hiring the best, and the hell yeses across the board. But obviously the same, if you're going to exit your firm, you're still part of it. Are you exiting and leaving it? You don't care. I guess it could depend on what exit you're making.
What it really comes down to, what a good deal ultimately comes, I mean, it's confidence, right? And I would argue it's not misplaced confidence. It's confidence informed by data. So the buyer needs to be very confident, to the point of certainty, that they are buying what is being purported as the firm, the product, the people, right? They want maximum confidence that the financial model that they've built for this purchase is sound, and that the revenue and the profit are going to be predictable. They want confidence there. The seller wants confidence that the money that is being promised to them, because it's almost never paid all up front. It's like extremely unusual. Some
kind of buyout structure or something like that.
It's usually, if you can get 10 to 15% at closing, that's a good day. Okay. That's a good day. Usually you're getting paid over 2, 3, 5 years. The seller wants confidence that the money they think they're getting, they're actually going to get. And that their clients are going to be in good hands, that their employees are going to be in a good home. And how do you get that confidence? It is through a lot of trust building, a lot of questions, spending just the time that's required to give you that head, heart, and gut certainty. Hell yes. So anyway, that is a very long-winded way of talking about culture. and also not talking about culture, but it all goes into the soup of what makes a good deal, and culture is a big part of it. That soup.
Yeah, and I talk about culture on the show all the time in different aspects, so it's definitely a hot topic, and I think it's something that everyone should have their attention on. And it's so important for so many things, so many ways, from hiring to sales to marketing to it touches every part of your business, in my opinion. So
yeah, definitely
super important. Yeah. So what's the best? Yeah, obviously, if someone wants to reach out to you, engage, what does an engagement look like, and also what's the best way to contact you and connect?
Great. Yeah. So we typically work with firms that have at least $1 million in gross revenue on the sell side. Ideally, it's 2 million or more. And on the buy side, we are looking for clients who, certainly if they've already done deals before, that makes it much easier. And they need to be prepared to not be tire kickers. Okay. So we don't like working with tire kickers. There was a time when my law firm took contingency fee cases. We don't do that anymore for lots of reasons, but we operate on a hybrid retained plus success fee basis. And that helps us eliminate tire kickers. But,
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You're a serious buyer when you're paying a retainer. And we know you're a serious buyer when you're paying a retainer, more importantly. And we shoot for speed and curation, right? So there's great investment bankers and brokers out there, phenomenal ones that stretch out the process many months or years. And we're not interested in that. It helps that we are one of the few. I'm aware of one other outfit that has this focus. I'm not aware of any others, but anyway, we focus on true exiting law firms, right? We don't try to sell them on why they should exit. We want the ones that come to us saying, I want out.
They've made that decision.
Yeah, those are the most motivated sellers, and that makes that 90-day exit much easier, right? These guys are already thinking about it. They've already made the decision. And any M&A lawyer knows that, one of the mantras is time kills deals. So we try to remove all of the friction that gets in the way of a good deal. One of the things that I'm really proud of that we're doing is we effectively pre-sell the deal. Buyer, here's what you can expect to buy this kind of firm for, and what we know that we can deliver to you. Seller, this is what you should be prepared to sell your firm for under these terms. And we have a high level of confidence that we can bring you the buyer. So motivated buyers and sellers, fairly proprietary. I don't think we're reinventing the wheel here, but I don't know anyone else who's doing what we're doing to speed up the process. And also because so much of the payout, both to the seller and frankly to us, depends on the deal delivering what it's supposed to deliver to the buyer. Clients have to come over. Buyers should be able to actually grow revenue with these clients, to those clients, not just keep them static. Sure. That means the seller has to be prepared to stay on for a transition of at least a year. Doesn't mean they have to be billing hours that whole year or the same amount of hours, but they need to make sure that the clients are coming over and that they're going to be sticky.
They're comfortable. They want to come over. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So our process really involves a before, a during, and an after, and ensuring that the deal the deal is a good deal. It happens quickly and it delivers the value to both parties that they expect.
I love it. Yeah, I know there's a lot that goes into it. And of course, anyone listening, if you listen to Alex, there's more than one way to exit. I think that's something that you need to think about and keep in your mind. But So exitpathpartners.com. You can check out Alex's website there. I know I follow you on LinkedIn. That's where I saw some of your videos recently. Obviously, you can connect with Alex there, but is there another way you'd like people to reach out or connect?
Yeah. You can email me, alex@exitpathpartners.com. LinkedIn is always good. Those are probably the main ways. I mean, if you go to the website, there's a form there you can fill out, and it allows you to download some tools that we created to help you exit. There's more tools coming, by the way. So there's a blog that you can subscribe to. Once you're in the system, you're going to start seeing really cool tools to help you multiply value and acquire, sell, etc. So engage through the website. Yeah, you'll get good stuff.
Actually, yeah, I think that's a great tip. Anyone that's listening, of course, maybe you're new in business. We have a lot of newer firms that subscribe and clients of mine that are listening. So maybe it's not on your mind, but it needs to be at some point, especially acquisition, merging, growth through mergers and acquisitions. So it's great. Maybe it's not an exit, but definitely huge benefits to thinking about that stuff early on and kind of figuring out what you want to do and how you see it happening, or just learn the opportunities that are out there and what might make sense for you. So, Alex, I appreciate you coming on to share what you're up to, and definitely agree with a lot of things you had to share today, especially the hell yes or no concept. And anyone, if you want to connect with Alex, if you say, hey, I'd love to talk with him personally, reach out. I'll make a personal introduction and make sure you all get connected. So anything else you want to share before we go? No, man. Kevin, thank you so much for having me on. I'm eager to see what I said last time and what I'm going to say 3 years from now. If you have me back on, I really appreciate what you guys do with these podcasts, man. I mean, it is a gift to be able to learn from the experiences of other managing partners, and you're building a great community, man. So thank you. Thanks for doing what you do. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been such an awesome experience for me, and just excited every time to bring on new guests and share new things and learn at the same time, because I, in fact, are in businesses. They might not be law firms, but a lot of it applies. So yeah, happy to be here. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode, and we'll see you again on the next one.